very ready for Coach Robin PFLUGRAD. Hey, Coach, thanks for coming on. NAU, Northern Arizona University. You and I talked the other day on the phone, and I was mentioning how impressed we've been, and a lot of the coaches here in Arizona. We have guys from all over the country on right now, but I want to talk specifically about Arizona high school football for a minute. But your staff and Coach Ball has done a tremendous job. It's been like night and day. NAU staff getting out and recruiting our campuses and get with our coaches and get with our kids. It's been fantastic, and so we appreciate you. We appreciate you for doing that, and I know you guys you keep chopping, right? Is that the phrase?
That's right. Chopping? That's right. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, Coach. We've got a chat function, Coach. Guys will have a ability to come on and chat a little bit, and they'll raise their hand that way, and it's up to you. You can manage the questions as you go, or we can do them at the end. Most of the speakers have been doing it at the end, which has worked pretty good. So away you go, Coach. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Okay, you bet. And I'm a little technology savvy here, so we got a headquarters up in Flagstaff. I'm down in Phoenix running this thing, so here we go. Hopefully there'll be no little mulligans we'll need to take care of, but anyway, we can go to the next one here, Austin.
One second. Damn. I'm not sure what's going on here. Hold on. God. All right, should be good to go now.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you got your screen there with the logos. Yep.
Okay. As we hopefully as we flip slides here, it'll catch up to us. Hopefully, if not, I can rock and roll on my subject here. But just a little bit, I think no matter where you are, if you stay at a place forever, if you're at a great high school, you have a great career. I think that one of the main things is just continue to build that program, and that's going to build your career. Wherever I've been, Portland State, I went to my rival high school, South Eugene. I went back to Portland State, Montana, Arizona State, Washington State, Oregon, Montana, Weber, and inherited an 0-54 program at Phoenix College with Coach Dan Cazzetto, and we actually won some games there. And all the places I've been, all the accomplishments that the players, had, and us as staff. I think the important thing is really to take those things that will definitely help you and help your career. And it's also just fine to leave the things you don't like and move forward with that. Okay. The next slide is we're really more NAU driven here. And if we can get that on, Austin.
I'm not sure why it's not letting me change the slide. It keeps showing blank.
Okay. I'll just give you a little quicker heads up. Maybe we can move forward with it. But as you said, Coach Cam, you know, CHOP, that's our mantra, man. That's our marching call. And really, it's about character, hardworking, ownership, and being present. And, you know, as Coach Rhodes just talked about many of those issues as well, I think it's important to understand what you can talk about every day in the meetings, every day with your players. Okay, go ahead and switch it here. And as we really want to visit about recruiting and the COVID-19 challenges that we've all faced, and really to throw it back, a couple high school coaches, you know, wanted to hear about, you know, how their players can take that next step in the recruiting process, or how high school coaches can really help their players move on in this crisis that we're in. So I'm kind of gearing the first part of the talk about COVID-19. So go ahead, Austin.
I'm sorry. I really have no idea why this is not switching slides. Oh boy. Is this slide showing on the screen right now?
No, it's not.
I'm not sure what's going on with this, why it's just blacking out every time I'm trying to hit next slide. Is that showing now?
Yes.
All right, let's roll with it like this then. We'll get the film later.
Okay, once the quarantine hit for us, we hit the ground. Go ahead, see if you can change that. We hit the ground searching, because as every coaching staff and coach in the meeting room, You know, so much time goes into planning your calendars. Weekly time goes into planning all that stuff. Our passing leagues and our camps had to be put on hold. Official and unofficial visits put on hold. We have a $46 million complex we've broken ground on to, obviously would have been great to highlight during the spring to potential student athletes. Obviously the prospects couldn't see that. And in my opinion, we host the best high school camp in the state of Arizona as far as you know, individual camp and 7-on-7s. We invite a lot of college coaches to work that camp with us. And unfortunately, that's been put on hold. And it's a great camp. When it gets to 110 in Phoenix, obviously everybody wants to come up. So go ahead. See if we can move on here. Okay. And then really we want to put ourselves in the prospect's shoes and really what they were thinking, you know, and that includes the junior college and the high school players. And gosh darn it, what's their emotional state? Ours was a bit shaken, you know, because these were untested times. So we put ourselves in their shoes and tried to figure that out so we could move on here. Next one. Okay, and this is really my advice, again, to all those student athletes that have questions that are at the high schools. And I think it's such a great time to seek counsel in their big decisions they're making. And I'll talk a little more about that. But obviously the parents and relatives, you know, seek counsel with them. Your high school coach, very important person in the process because he's the person that has the contacts a lot with these junior college, with the four-year schools as we move on. The individual position coach, again, what his plan is for you as a student athlete. And then reach out into your high school, you know, who's your most trusted person in that school? Could it be a principal, a teacher, the athletic director? Seek counsel from any social people that you believe in or spiritual types of backgrounds. And I think the biggest advice I could give in this area is really seek out of alumni from your high school that have gone on and just ask them for a short conversation. Again, at Saguaro High School, Kyle Caldwell sits there in the weight room. Well, he doesn't sit, he does a hell of a job, but you know, he had a lot of choices to make when he decided where to go, and seek counsel from him. You know, there's a graduate from Texas A&M that went there, a player from Washington. You know, seek those people that can help counsel, not just your coaches, but players that have been in your shoes, whether it was a year before or 6, 7, 8 years, and really discuss what your goals are and what you want as a student athlete as you move on. And in my opinion, with this virus situation, I think that all these offers and things that if that university really wants you, you should be able to pick the phone up and call that head football coach. I really believe that. I truly, from my heart, believe that's the times we're in. And if they really want you, and that's a great barometer, pick up that phone and call that head football coach and see what his thoughts are about you. Okay, next. And I think the landscape's totally different than where it's been. None of us have been through this. I think there's a record setting. It's been shattered, in my opinion, the offers that have been given, the verbal offers through the months of April and May. You know, here's an example I just give. A couple weeks back, we were looking at a tight end in the state of New Mexico. He had just got an offer from Eastern New Mexico, and I think there were some Big Sky schools looking at him. And, you know, within a half hour of that offer, he committed to a large university in the state of Texas. And again, it was just a matter of maybe 30 minutes how crazy things are happening. So I think the more information we can get to your student athletes, the better off everyone's going to be, and then helping them make the correct decision. All right. Next. And I think that, you know, this, I believe in this, this statement here, and really what we want for our players. It is exactly what we want for our own children. And that's an opportunity to achieve success. Okay, next. You want, yeah, okay. And again, this is kind of what we do on a yearly basis. We break it down by position coaches. I've just put in the offense up here right now. Again, what we look for in specific positions. And again, it might help you, you know, as a coach to, and not only at NAU, but everyone else. I mean, everyone's going to have something similar, but just the 4 elements that we look at: quarterbacks, the release, light foot, arm strength, athleticism. I would probably add accuracy here. I think that's very important as well. And as the, you know, each other position, we look at this, we rank them. And I think these are the things that we really look for. So if our wide receiver coach, Junior Taylor, is recruiting in Phoenix or Los Angeles or Dallas, Texas, these are the things that he's going to look for. As I follow up and I see a wide receiver, I'm going to look for that speed and quickness, the ball skills, the size and the physicality of that player. So again, we're all on the same page per specific position. Obviously, I just put the offense up here, but obviously we have that in defense and our special teams positions. Okay, the next slide is really about what we look for in our tight end position. And we have a very catchy name now, Lumberbacks. We are the Lumberjacks. So the Lumberbacks are the hybrid tight end position. They're going to do multiple things for us. They are going to line up in the backfield. They're going to be split out. We might put them into the boundary as a wide receiver. And, you know, probably 70% of the time they're going to be attached. 65% we're going to be attached to next to the tackle. We are going to run quite a bit of 12 personnel. So we'll have 2 Lumberbacks in the game at the same time. And so what we look for there is really the physicality of that player. And when I talk about the physicality, it's, does he hit with his face? And I know the rules have changed and all that with spearing, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, does he bring his face before he brings his body? And it's really the young man in the swimming pool growing up. You know, if you splash him in the face, did he turn his face and all that? No, I don't want to see that physicality. I want to see him facing the action, blocking with his face. And another part of that, will he catch the ball over the middle of the field? Okay. Will he have a catch where he's showing his physicality? Speed can be broken up in release off the line of scrimmage, and the acceleration. That's also true in the blocking part of the phases in the game, and of course in special teams, because our Lumberbacks are going to play a big part of our special teams as well. Okay, the hand part of it, the process, the catch and the lock process. We're going to lock that ball away. And that's an entire process, going out and getting that football. And I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail here. And again, competition, we look for, I really look for competition at Lumberback position. An example for the Arizona player coaches on, and for everyone else it's on across the country. Hopefully you'll hear about this guy. He was a freshman All-American for us, but Hendricks Johnson came up to 7-on-7, and this example of competition and competing. And he was at Boulder Creek High School and really good athlete. And we were still evaluating him, and basically he never left the field. He wanted to play safety. He wanted to play receiver, and he ended up being a tremendous receiver for us. He was competing against another team that we were also recruiting a player, and he was being recruited. The other player recruited by a couple bigger schools than us, and he actually went on and signed with a bigger school. However, boy, it started raining, and Hendricks, he never left the field. He competed every play, every down, and we looked out there, and this other kid wasn't around. And, you know, that's just a little sign. But I'll tell you what, when you spend, you know, close to $350,000 for a 5-year scholarship, you better look around a lot and make those correct decisions. Because, you know, we have 63 scholarships. That's what we have. And I believe to this day we took the right guy, and, you know, he had over 60 catches as a true freshman. So we're really happy on that and our evaluation of competing. And then the finish part, again, you know, the film never lies, and that's true from the start to the end. And that we evaluate that. Highlight tapes are exactly what that is, you know, but they better finish every play in a highlight. And some guys don't do that. I often wonder, well, why did he put that on his highlight tape? He didn't even finish the play. So, you know, that's a red marker for me when we talk about the finish part of it. Okay. The next phase is really, it's kind of a comprehensive form here of exactly what we do. This is really an evaluation form for our existing players that we do after fall, and then again we do it after spring ball. Obviously, we didn't have spring ball this year, but I've kind of taken this form with me. About 5 or 6 of the last schools I've been, and it's an evaluation process with a numerical value to this. Each question, 1 through 5, 5 being excellent. And this was actually, the story behind this was Don James at the University of University of Washington. This was taken from his programs, and we've edited it through the years. We've modified it. It's been changed quite a bit. He had the Dirty Dozen questions. Don James, he won a national championship at Washington and was a tremendous coach. Put the Huskies in the Rose Bowl numerous times, but we've revised it to match what we want. And really, obviously at 5, a 2.5 is your average. So when we tally all this form up, we want to have at least a 35 out of the possible 50, because there's 10 questions with numerical value, and then there's 5 or 6 other questions that can tip the scale one way or the other if you choose to recruit the player or not. We use it in recruiting and we use it in evaluation. So just going over each question real quickly here, and you know, it rated his ability to be a championship player. Again, what has he shown in the past? Is there evidence of that? And you know, what we hear is that, you know, the high school, he's the best kid we've ever had. Well, when we hear that, boy, that strikes up a chord for us. And then, you know, does he have the it factor? Is, you know, that part of the elite status when we try to go make a decision out there. So again, in the recruiting process, I think it's important to educate your players that colleges are going to have something like this, something similar, and they're going to have a pretty thorough process. And with COVID-19, we've been able to do much more research on every single player, as they have with the schools. Second question, you know, how important is football to him? You know, we want to see and feel the passion. You know what? We must get a feeling of that passion when we visit with him. We want to hear it through the phone. You know, when we do get a chance to see that player or evaluate that player or have him on campus, we want to see how important football is to him, because again, it's a huge commitment for all of us. We rate his leadership ability, question 3. We just have to see something that's shown that he has some leadership ability, or he has a great ability to follow, which to me is also leadership. You know, what are examples? Is he a team captain? Is he in community service? You know, does he work on projects in school? Is he in government? Is he in the FCA program? All those questions, we're rating his leadership ability. 4, we rate his work ethic. And this is really more physicality. You know, does he ask for more work? Is he always in the weight room? Is he always in the gym? You know, find out from your strength coaches. Does his work ethic transcend to leadership ability? I think those are a great correlation. 5, how does he react and respond to criticism? Does it motivate him? Does it motivate him immediately or eventually? Or does he fold his tent? Does he mope and pout? I think pouters are the most challenging players to coach. They're really, really difficult, as is children to raise. It's the same concept. 6, is he a team player? Does he put the team first? To give examples. Okay, does he positively talk about his teammates? Is he positive or negative about his coach? It's amazing how many times we hear as a staff that, wow, well, if coach would have thrown me the ball more, or concerns like that we hear, or, you know, if I had a different position coach, I would have had 15 more catches, et cetera, et cetera. It's amazing how many times we hear that. And once we start hearing that, we realize he might have an issue with being a team player. So obviously we would score that player low in that area. Okay. But if he's talking about his teammates in a positive way, you know, or his experiences, you know, going to the playoffs and winning the championship, all those things, then we rank him high. Okay. Again, rate his toughness. I talked a little bit about that, hitting with the face. You know, again, I want to see a collision catch over the middle. That's really important to me. I want to see his response to challenging and tough situations. Conditioning at the end of practice, it might be 107, 108 degrees. You got a helmet on, and you know you're running your 100-yard sprints, all that stuff. You know, how tough is he in those tough situations? Okay, and obviously it's great to evaluate that during spring drills and all that, which again we haven't been able to do. So again, I'm trying to preach back to you guys as you know, teaching your student athletes what we are all looking for. Is he a student of the game? Does he actually really study football? Very important. How much video does he use? Does he ask to meet extra with his coaches? Does he keep a notebook? Is it full of notes? And really, what's he do when no one else is watching? I think that's critically important. And rate his attitude towards the program. Is the program number one? Okay. And that's the entire program. I'm talking strength program. I'm talking your medical people, your trainers, you know, your people that help in academics. You know, what's his attitude towards the entire program? Because that's important to us as college coaches, because he's going to be around strength coaches, medical personnel, academic coordinators, as well as position coaches and special teams and head coaches. Okay. Ultimately, it's for the entire program. Okay, and then flipping over, this would be the back side of the page. Is just rate his tolerance to pain. Unfortunately, we had more injuries than I'd ever been involved in this last fall, and lost 24 scholarship players, 18 by game 4, and it was very challenging to us. And I understand concussion. I think I understand concussion protocol. I've been in it a long time, and it's really, really difficult when a guy has a headache and boom, he's going to miss a game, possibly 2. So, you know, I think that has to be a very thorough evaluation by the medical people. But then also you need to break it down. You know, will he play with a bit of some pain? And you have to help determine, is it pain or is it injury? Okay. Will he continue to play, if it's just some pain? But more importantly, will he continue to prepare? Because the worst thing you do is, you lose a guy for a half a game or a game, and then it turns into 2 or 3. But if he's willing to prepare and work through pain, obviously we're going to give him a high score on this. And, I think again, you have to determine, is it pain or is it injury? Okay. And then you add the totals up after question 10. And like I said, if you're looking at 35 or higher, you got a guy that you want to continue to recruit. And sometimes that's challenging for us too. I think the recruitability part of it has to be answered as well, because a lot of schools recruit the great state of Arizona, and, we can offer a guy, and ironically, 2 weeks later, he might have 7 of the Pac-12 schools offered him. So, recruitability is critical, and sometimes it takes a bit of time to really understand this whole process. And by then, hey, he might go to USC or something. So we have to understand the recruitability factor. And that's where high school relationships come into play too. And I think it's important for your players to know how many contacts you have. If you're at Chandler, if you're at Saguaro, you got great programs, and there's going to be recruiters all over the place. Well, what if you're at Moon Valley or Central, and you're going to have a player every couple of years? I think that's important as a high school coach to really develop those relationships with those colleges. And the more people as we all know, there were a lot of different emblems up there when on where the schools I've been. Coach Rhodes have been to a lot of schools too. So my point is, college coaches know other coaches. And I think for the most part, we're going to help student athletes for the right reasons and help them find a home. I think there's enough homes that everybody that wants to play college football should be able to play. Okay, then we shift gears, and then we ask, do you feel he has a drug or alcohol problem? Okay, if this is yes or maybe, oh my goodness, we got to find out more. That's a red flag. We got to find out more. We got to find the facts, and it's very time consuming. Do we put this? If we do take this player, do we put him in a testing protocol immediately on the entrance to the school once he's in camp? I've been through that. I've been through it where we didn't take him. I think all things being equal, if there's 2 players and one of them has a drug or alcohol problem, we're going to take the guy that didn't test for it, or we know doesn't have a problem. So we're going to be very thorough in that regards. And I'm not saying it's out there big time. I know when the state of Washington, made marijuana to a certain degree legal, I know some of those players up in Seattle were pretty fired up about that. And problem is that, if you're into that stuff, there's also a school rule and an NCAA rule. So it wasn't as was liberal as first determined. So, that's important to us. Again, we're spending a whole bunch of money, and we want to make sure that we have a program in place. If we think he's a special kid and does everything else, he's got great leadership skills, and there's been a few guys that have come through that way. Can we get counseling for him? Can we get rehab? All that stuff comes into play, because we don't want to, once we bring a player into our family, we don't want to throw him to the streets. And again, we're not professionals in that area, but we can sure do a lot of research. Then again, we're always developing and compromising. I'm going to flip question 12 and 13 and really, in the order it should, in my opinion, does he have any academic problems? Again, yes, no. If 2 guys are, again, the same flip of the coin on them, probably going to take the guy that's going to show academic success. Okay. But if not, do we have the accommodations to care for that young man? And are we going to deliver what we sell? That's the worst thing. If you sell something and you bring him to campus, you can't deliver on what you sold them, there goes your integrity with that high school, with that family. And that happens all the time. It's kind of a sad deal, in my opinion. So I think we need to be very thorough in understanding we need to deliver what we sell, or we don't need to sell it. Okay, does he need accommodations? Disability resources, NCAA has a few different rules for the disability resources as far as number of credit hours freshman year. Is it possible to fix the problem, or is it possible to assist the problem? And so those are important to us. Then we move on. Does he have the academic ability to graduate? Okay, yes, no, or with help. Okay. And again, every college is different. A lot of colleges have thrown a lot of money into the academic programs. And unfortunately, some of the colleges right now are getting their budgets cuts because of COVID-19. Again, going back to that. So, and some of us don't know where that's going to be on the budget issues. So it's all going to play out a little bit, but that'd be the worst thing to do is bring somebody on campus and not be able to help them. Okay. And then on that, going back to that, we like to look at the SAT and ACT, the correlation to success, and really how strong, if the ability to graduate, how strong he is in the core. The core courses of English, math, and science is really, those three are very important to the correlation to graduating. So if he has a really, really low reading level, we need to take a big second hard look at that thing. Okay. And then does he have social issues? This could affect the team chemistry. We all have seen that before, probably. It could affect your locker room, those types of things. And could affect your positional meeting room. What are his strengths as a football player? Okay, I break this up again. And again, is he physical? Yes, great leader, great football, FBI, football intelligence. Can his strengths outweigh being an inch or two too short? Those types of things. Then I break that also down. It's not on the form, but I say, what are his strengths as a person? And again, to me, there's a litmus test to that particular player. And I was said, hey, is he the type of kid you'd allow to take your daughter to homecoming or prom dance? Okay. I mean, hey, maybe he isn't. Maybe I have two categories. Is he the type of kid you could have to your house and have a barbecue in the backyard and you'd be fine as a father? And maybe that third level is, hey, I'll let my daughter sit by him in the cafeteria, but that's it. So, and 4 is, no, I don't want him around my daughter. So, it's really kind of relative to that, how that works is, the highest being, hey, yeah, I'll let this guy take my daughter to a prom and all that stuff, and that's his strength as a person. That's the DNA right there that you're looking for. Okay, then the final question is really 16. What are his weaknesses as a football player? And is this correctable or not correctable? Okay, is he a leader or not? Let's say pad level. His pad level is too high, even in a highlight tape. Well, to us, we all think we can correct that. I hope we can, or we wouldn't be in the business. Or did he shut it down after he got his dream offer? Or once he committed, when I was at the University of Oregon, we actually had that happen to us a couple times where we had a couple guys commit and we kind of warned them about it, and then we saw it show up, and we actually pulled the plug on a player because of that situation where he shut it down. He turned his back on his teammates, and obviously we didn't want to have that in our program for 4 or 5 years. And then the last part, I just, on the comments part, I always say, let's compare him to a current player in our program. Okay. Or compare him to someone else you've coached. Okay. Is there a common denominator? Okay. does this player remind you of somebody you coach? Does he have attributes of a Pat Tillman example, or a great quarterback you've had in your past that has gone on and won the championship or gone to the NFL? And then another step I take is just, he's a lot similar to this player, only he's blank. He's 2 inches shorter. He's 10 pounds lighter. And are those things that we can correct, or we can nurture in our program to get him to that level that you'd say, yes, that's a no-brainer. We're going to take this young man and roll. Okay. So again, those are a lot of talk and a lot of verbiage, but again, talking with some high school and Coach Cam a little bit here is just how important is making the right decision. And it's two sides to that coin. It's not just the university, but it's almost important too to flip this and have that player evaluate the university in the same way that we're evaluating him. All right. Okay, I think we can flip a little bit here and go into some drill work and again, what we're looking for in some of these issues. Okay, again, we call them lumberbacks, skills and drills. Okay, I really preach, I've always done there's got to be a start, a duration, and a finish to every drill. And, we present to our entire staff every spring. We present some things that we're going to be doing for spring ball. And I think, Coach Chris Ball is our head coach. He's a tremendous man. And, he's very diligent on this. And I think that's the one thing he said after a lot of us finished, where's the finish to that drill? I want to know the finish. And again, that's what I look for, obviously, in the lumberbacks individual that I've already discussed. Okay. Ball security is the most important aspect of anything. In my opinion, ball security equals job security. There's no other way around it. That's for the player and the coach. Okay. Drill must have direct correlation to offense, defense, or special team. Okay. My point here is, I do one-handed catches 3 times a year. I'll do them in fall camp. I'll do them on our bye week, and I'll do them once during spring. Okay. And to me, when I go around and watch schools and recruit or visit campuses or even go to NFL camps, I see coaching, tight end coaches, wide receiver coaches, running back. They're doing one-hand drills every day. And it's tough to find time to do drills. In my opinion, it doesn't correlate to what you're going to see. You're going to make a one-handed catch once per year. And I think you're going to make that catch anyway. So we've worked on it, but that's my point. Have a correlation to what your game plan is. And that's the transition from practice field to Friday night or Saturday night. What is that correlation to the drill? Coach Rhodes talked about the man coverage towards the end of his presentation. And that's exactly how we break opponents down. Will we see a lot of man? Okay, so these are the 4 or 5 routes we're going to run versus man this week. And the next week might be quarter zone, 80% or 65%. So now those are the correlation drills that we'll use. We're not going to use a lot of man technique drills if we're going to see quarters all the time or a 3-deep concept. All right, and then I think it's so important that we train and retrain the eyes. I think you got to have eyes up at all drills. If you really think about it, the players that we're coaching, they've had their eyes down their whole lives, really, with video games and electronics and cell phones and tablets and all that technology. And I always start with having my fingers up, having them read my fingers in our early out stretch and running drills, our team stretch that our strength coach works on. And those are the drills that I make sure their eyes are up and continue through practice because that absolutely drives me crazy. Again, it's to me, it's like the one-handed catch. I'll go visit practices and by golly, their eyes are down. They're looking down at the dirt, down at their shoes. I don't see how, they can see that coverage. And then all of a sudden they're asked to see it. So I think eyes can be trained to much more thoroughly than what's happening out there. Okay. Next slide here is really about the EDDs of everyday drills. Okay. And examples of those, we're gonna walk through it. We're gonna chalk it on the board, on the whiteboards. We're gonna walk through. We're gonna go full speed, and then just one concept I heard years ago that I really try to believe in here. I hear and I forget. Again, that's your meeting. They're not going to remember everything from a meeting, which is unfortunate. But so again, how can you? We walk about 75 yards from our dome out to our beautiful new practice field. So I'll walk with my players and I'll have a little mini meeting with them, especially the guys that I think need it. So I hear it, and I hope they don't forget it if they hear it twice. But now we demonstrate it with video on the whiteboard. We see it. Hopefully we remember it. And we see our young freshmen look at our juniors and seniors early in camp. They see it, and they got to remember it from there. And now we put it in transition. You're actually doing the drill. Now you comprehend that drill. You understand it. You take ownership of that drill. So I hear, I see, I do. Very important to the final concept of understanding that drill. Okay. Next slide. Okay. I think this is an important concept, and it's just really how do you catch a football? And I know I haven't talked anything about blocking. I'm probably not going to get to it. I was hoping to, but we probably won't. But when I talk about catching the football, it's really go ahead, next slide. To properly catch a ball, you have to stop. You have to stop the flight of the ball. Okay. And I hope everybody understands that you just have to stop a moving object that's going, depending on the velocity of your quarterback, depending on the route you're running, etc. You have to stop the flight of the ball. So how do we do that in an everyday drill? And I'll go through a couple things before I talk about step to catch. But when we talk about stopping the flight of the football, I want my fingers spread completely apart. I don't want any room in there where, I want to see air between my fingers totally. Okay. Then I want the concept of touching skin. Okay. Obviously nowadays you're going to be touching glove. Not very many guys just don't wear the glove. I mean, everyone's going to wear the gloves, which is fine, but they're touching glove. They're touching leather, whatever that glove's made of. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you touch skin, you will stop the flight of the ball. Okay. And that's true. If the ball's coming straight at your nose, as you track the ball, you're going to touch your two thumbs together and your two index fingers to stop the flight of the ball. Okay. Now, if you're running a vertical concept and the ball's thrown over the top of you, now you're going to touch your little fingers together to stop the flight of the ball. I've gone around the country. I've asked a lot of people, and for some reason I asked, well, how do you really teach the concept of catching the ball? And a lot of receiver coaches and tight end, well, they just catch it because we work on it. Well, how do you work on it? What's the concept? What do you teach? Well, we just make sure they're catching it and they catch it out in their hands. Okay, that's great. But again, I think you got to dissect it further. If the kid's having problems, well, look at the concept of how he has his hands set to the ball. Is he touching skin? Okay. And then everyday drill we do, whether we're warming the quarterbacks up or we're playing catch, we step to the catch. Okay, so I'm moving my arms in a running in place position. I'm moving my arms. I'm shooting my net. Okay, which is my thumbs coming together. I'm full extension with my elbows, and I step to that catch, and I lock it away for the ball security that we already talked about. Okay, so the start of the ball is the tracking. The start of the drill is tracking. The duration is shooting in the net, and the finish of the drill, how simple we can make it, is the locking of the football. Okay, that's just a step to the catch. I'm not advancing the ball. Again, this is quick. I'm warming up. I'm warming up a quarterback. Okay, I'll step right foot. I'll step left foot. Okay, make sure you do both sides of that, because obviously you're going to be on a right hash and a left hash. You track the ball, you shoot the net, you lock the ball, and then we turn the eyes. We turn our body and turn the eyes. Again, I will give them a finger behind them, 1, 2, 3, a full hand. As they turn, they have to yell out how many fingers are in the air as fast as possible, because I'm not going to lay that thing out very fast or very long. Okay. Okay. So I harp on this. Always use these techniques through the course of the day. Always use them, and you're going to improve that part of your catching. Okay. All right. We can get to this drill. This is actually my favorite drill. Okay, it's the Big Daddy of them all. We call it the W drill, win drill. Okay, it's if we can shoot that diagram real quick, and I'm sure some of you use this, or maybe parts of this. Again, I have some other individual drills. I don't know if I'll get to them with the time, but this is our W drill. And ideally, you put the ball on the 20-yard line, and you have 3 levels of competition. Okay, you have the offensive line and the D line competing approximately 5 yards from the ball, or the 18-yard, excuse me, a little bit tighter. 2 ways to do it. The running backs, quarterbacks can take the ball on the bottom of the page, and they're going to be your ball carriers. Or you can hand the ball off, again, working on your ball security with your running backs. Okay, your second level is the 12-yard line. It's your tight ends, your lumberbacks, your fullback type players with your linebackers, and all they are is 1 yard apart. You can, we usually go in a 2-point stance for this particular drill. The third level, we put on the 5-yard line. Wide receivers' toes are at 5. The defensive back, the corners and safeties are 2 yards from them. You gotta watch those DBs really close, because they'll start sneaking and cheating up like they've done for 150 years. So our point there is there's 3 levels to attack. Okay. And we police this. Each position coach can police his area. And if we can get to a couple of these reps, the one drill we usually do before this is the ring of fire. If we can hit that one. Austin, you can change it. Should be a video shot here. Okay, there's actually two Phoenix area players, Matt Kempton from Brophy Pep and Carson Taylor on the defensive side from Apollo. But if we go back here, this is the concept we want. We are in obviously a 3-point stance here. So that second level could be 3 or 2-point stance. And this is just a mono drill, man on. And again, I don't like Kempton's feet. They're too wide apart. They're not moving fast enough. But I do like the ultimate finish. If again, the snap of the ball, we want hands inside. Go ahead, shoot the play. Can we run it? It's a bit choppy, but I think you get the point here. Okay. Now, again, we'll take this to all 3 levels. That's what we want. If you can continue and then freeze it. Oh, shoot. Right. Yeah, freeze it at the very end there. One more time. Can you try to freeze it? Guess not. Okay. So as you can see, you can also line this drill up from the sidelines as long as you get all people lined up the same way. We're not handing it off. We got the running back running with it right here. Again, it's a cadence. If he goes outside the cone, then the play is dead. A lot of times that happens. We still play the play, but we score it 1 for O, 1 for D. Offense has to go all the way to the end zone. Defense can make a stop. As you see there, some pretty good jobs by the offensive players. Okay, stopped by the D. Second level got the stop. Again, this is wind drill. If you line it up on that diagram, it's a W. If you coach it at, okay, here's the N1. We usually pick the best group, or we call them out, and then the whole team rallies around it. It's a good sugar emo drill, get fired up type of drill. And this was a great job by the first level, second level, and third level on the offensive side. And again, I am an offensive coach, so we're going to end with this one, I think, but on the W drill. Okay, now if you work at a school that starts with an M, you can flip that diagram over, and you're at Mountain Ridge, Mountain Point, Marana. Schools like that, you can always call it the M drill and have a little ownership on it. Okay. Next drill is everyday drill. I'll start with the butterfly drill. And that's the one on the right. We put our cones 6 yards apart. Okay. And we make a turn. The X is obviously to the players. We make a left-hand turn, a right-hand turn, a right-hand turn, and then a ball is thrown to them when they get back down the butterfly. Okay. And then on the top of that butterfly, we add 2 bags that are not shown in this diagram. And that's one thing about COVID-19. I think some of us are going through our own stuff and editing it and making it better. But we'll add 2 bag holders to make sure we finish. Again, that's part of our drills our goal of every single drill is to finish that drill. So we'll put 2 bags there, or we'll put 2 bags and then emphasize that that's the end zone 2 yards past those bags. Okay. As a position coach, I like my area on the field to be the end zone, the 5 to 10 yard line in one of the corners of the field. I've always asked for that, whether I had quarterbacks, wideouts, or tight ends, or running backs through the years. I've always wanted to be close to the goal line because I think positively we want to be in that area. And obviously the hardest part is coming out of that area. So we talk about it every single day, man. We're so lucky we get this part of the field. No one else gets this thing, and this is our real estate. So we take ownership on a little tiny thought like that. You know, who'd think, oh, I don't know, I don't care, just put us somewhere. No, we want to be in the end zone or really darn close to it so we can finish our drills into the end zone. Okay, so what I'm looking for is again, shooting of the net, shooting of that net, planning, turning, not a wide turn, getting going straight forward. Okay, then we'll do it. We'll flip sides and they'll go right and then 2 lefts. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, then the box drill, it's a similar drill, only you're not simulating a comeback route, a halt route, you're simulating a crossing route, a dig route, or a shallow crosser, and we're planning and getting turned. Sometimes I'll add another thrower there, so when they come past that cone, boom, they might get a football thrown. So again, I'm training the eyes on that drill. If not, they're gonna take the two rights and then get that ball thrown, and then again finish with the bag. There's no bag drawn on here. This wouldn't be an A grade by me. I need to add those bags on my diagram as I teach the drill. Okay, then we're going to flip it and go the other way. Again, we're teaching. We're getting off the football. We go 3-point stance on a Monday. Could be on a Tuesday. We'll go with a 2-point stance, or vice versa. Okay, this is a good drill for man or zone concepts. That's why I call it an EDD, everyday drill. Okay, and then if I could maybe get through one more here, Austin. Next. Okay, this is a tighter turn. This is called our 4-cone 4 turn. And I just put these cones 2 yards apart. Now we go inside the cone, and you can do this at 6 yards, or I like to go after I've done butterfly and box. I like to go the cones at 11 yards because that's really our stop route concept is at 11. So it simulates something I'm going to see on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night for us. And again, I'm not going to teach them something they're not going to see. So I have a right turn here. The X's are the players. I have a right turns, and then I'm getting to full speed, and I'm doing another right and then 2 lefts. And then I'm obviously catching the football in the proper techniques I've already talked about. And then I'm getting upfield. Okay. So really, this particular drill defies physics, because if you really think about it, I'm asking that player to run as fast as he can, basically come to a stop, and then coming through and step toward a moving object, stop the flight of that object, okay, with maximum extension, secure it and lock the object away, okay, then have a tight turn, get to maximum speed, and run through or around other human bodies, okay, if that all makes sense. That's this drill. There's a lot of concepts within this drill that will carry over to your Friday nights and our Saturday nights, and that's why it's termed an everyday drill. Okay, how we doing on time?
Well, Coach, are you about close to wrapping up?
I can pretty much wrap there. I could go on for about 3.5 more hours, Coach Cam. But I like the next speakers probably better than myself. So let's go.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate you, Coach. It was fantastic. I know you guys you're working through your the IT stuff, and Austin was helping you, and you're down in Phoenix, right? And he's